Okay, let's unpack this. In a world just awash with information, like an overwhelming tide of it, where do you genuinely turn for those elusive, unexpected nuggets of insight?
Hmm.
Those moments where something just clicks, a perspective shifts,
Huh?
and you truly feel not just informed, but well-informed.
Right, those aha moments. They're rare.
Exactly. Today, we're embarking on precisely that kind of journey. We're diving deep into a remarkable collection of sources that all seem to revolve around, well, this deeply insightful musician, Cassandra Jenkins.
Yeah, and specifically, her critically acclaimed album, An Overview on Phenomenal Nature.
And this isn't just going to be a discussion about music, is it? It feels like it's much broader.
Oh, absolutely. It's really an expansive exploration of how art, maybe in its purest form, can become this profound lens, something we can use to reflect on, navigate, and ultimately maybe even reshape our understanding of life itself.
So what really emerges then from digging into all this material?
Well, what truly emerges, I think, is this fascinating revelation. It's about the profound interconnectedness of seemingly, well, disparate elements. Things like art, naturally, but also the processing of grief, the healing power of nature,
Okay.
and even the very intricate structure of our own minds. Our mission today, really, is to explore how Cassandra Jenkins's unique experiences, which are so meticulously captured and distilled through her music and her very candid reflections, how they offer a profound and I think universally applicable framework.
A framework for what? Is
A
that?
framework for understanding our individual journeys, sure, but also our collective ones through life's inherent complexities. And maybe for seeking a kind of personal system restore when our internal landscapes just get overwhelmed.
A system restore. I like that.
Yeah, you'll see how these various seemingly unconnected personal and philosophical elements actually converge. They paint this remarkably holistic picture of what it means to navigate modern existence with maybe intention and grace.
Okay, and to guide us through this rich and multifaceted exploration, we've got quite a stack of material, right?
We do.
We've meticulously gathered a truly diverse set. Our sources include Cassandra Jenkins's own intimate personal reflections, which, offer this unfiltered glimpse into her inner world.
Which is quite rare, actually.
It is. And we've delved into these incredibly in-depth artist interviews where she opens up with remarkable candor about her creative process, her struggles, her inspirations.
Yeah, she's very open.
We've also woven in academic analyses of her work pieces that dig beneath the surface, exploring the deeper meanings, the philosophical underpinnings, perhaps, of her artistry.
Right, trying to connect the dots on a different level.
And finally, we've connected her personal journey to broader cultural observations that provide this vital, wider context for the universal themes she explores.
So it's not just in a vacuum.
Exactly. It's a true mosaic of information. Much like the album itself seems to be a collection of interwoven vignettes, different perspectives, surprising connections, all working together to create a vibrant, comprehensive, and hopefully deeply resonant understanding for you, the listener.
Yeah, a real deep dive.
So let's begin our deep dive right at the very genesis of an overview on phenomenal nature, because the story behind its title and its core thematic inspiration is, in itself, well, utterly remarkable.
It really is.
When you hear an album title as evocative and, frankly, intellectually curious as An Overview on Phenomenal Nature, your mind might immediately leap to grand, overarching artistic concepts.
Yeah, or maybe some complex philosophical idea she was working with.
Or perhaps even a carefully crafted marketing strategy designed to intrigue listeners. But for Cassandra Jenkins, the reality was anything but a calculated decision. Instead, this profound album title, and indeed much of its guiding philosophy, emerged from a completely unexpected, truly serendipitous encounter.
In a most unlikely setting.
Exactly.
It's true, and I think a key insight here is just how often profound inspiration can spring from the most unbidden everyday interactions. We often look for it in, specific places.
Right, like a studio or a library.
Yeah, but the album's title and a significant portion of its thematic direction was sparked not in the quiet solitude of an intense writing session, nor from a deep dive into philosophical treatises. Rather, it came directly from an encounter with a security guard.
A security guard.
Where? At the Met Brewer Gallery in New York City. Jenkins was there, as many of us might be, simply immersed in an art experience. Specifically, she was there to see the Mrinalini Mukherjee retrospective, which, by a remarkable and, deeply ironic coincidence, was also titled Phenomenal Nature.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, so it was during this seemingly ordinary visit that the extraordinary happened. This particular security guard, without any prompting, completely unbidden by Jenkins, approached her and offered her own deeply personal, totally unsolicited overview of the exhibit.
An overview, just like that.
It's just like that. And this wasn't just a brief comment or a polite acknowledgement. We're told the guard spoke for a good 10 minutes.
10 minutes, wow.
In what was described as an almost stream of consciousness monologue. It was far from a clinical academic rundown of the art. Instead, it was this incredibly heartfelt, subjective sharing of deeply personal views on life, on the very nature of art, on beauty itself. This unsolicited outpouring of perspective, born from what started as just a casual interaction in a gallery, resonated so deeply with Jenkins precisely because it offered such a genuine human connection.
You can almost picture it, can't you? Walking through a silent gallery, maybe lost in thought, and then suddenly someone is sharing their entire worldview, sparked by the art around them.
Exactly. It was apparently quite disarming yet profoundly connecting, a real moment.
That's truly fascinating. And it highlights such a brilliant irony, doesn't it? The term overview itself.
Yeah.
It typically conjures images of something objective, maybe a clinical report, a detached academic summary. You expect a dry, factual presentation.
It's the official take.
Right. But in this instance, it was precisely the opposite. It was a deeply personal, utterly unsolicited outpouring of a subjective perspective, a monologue that Jenkins recounts, finding both profoundly insightful and, maybe surprisingly, quite humorous in its unexpectedness.
The absurdity of it? Maybe.
Perhaps. So it was a moment that didn't just provide an album title, it truly crystallized a core philosophy for her. And so what does this insight invite you, the listener, to consider? For Jenkins, this encounter made it crystal clear that, and this is her quote, "Every single person might have some wisdom to offer if you are willing to turn the key with them into their world."
Wow. Turn the key with them into their world. That's a great phrase.
Isn't it? She wasn't looking for profound insight from an official source, like a curator or a label, but it found her anyway, through this guard. She even goes as far as to consider this particular security guard her mascot for the entire record.
Mascot. That's brilliant.
A living, breathing embodiment of the album's foundational philosophy, that profound insights are literally everywhere, if only we're open to them.
And this profound element, I think, emerges for all of us. How frequently do we overlook genuine insights that might be hiding in plain sight, embedded within our seemingly ordinary everyday interactions?
We probably do it all the time.
We've been conditioned, often subconsciously, to segment our lives, haven't we? To expect wisdom to flow exclusively from official sources, from experts, from books, from formal lectures, established institutions.
Right, the designated authority.
Exactly. But Jenkins' experience with the security guard stands as this powerful counter-narrative. It strongly encourages us to approach strangers, and indeed all our daily encounters, with a renewed sense of open-mindedness and curiosity.
It's less about seeking, maybe, and more about being receptive.
I think so. It's about actively embracing those seemingly random moments of collision where something unexpected sparks and unlocks a shared viewpoint, even if it's fleeting or brief. It vividly highlights the immense value of simply being present, attentive, and open to the spontaneous connections that life constantly offers. Acknowledging that true wisdom isn't confined to grand pronouncements, but can emerge from anywhere, from anyone, at any time.
In the most surprising form.
In the most surprising forms. It challenges our default assumption that profound understanding must be sought out in these rarefied environments. Sometimes it just walks up to you in a museum gallery.
Okay, so from this incredibly rich tapestry of unexpected encounters and keen observations, one metaphor in particular truly stands out. It seems like a foundational, conceptual pillar of the album, and it finds its most explicit expression in the song Hard Drive.
Ah, yes. Hard drive.
It's this compelling yet surprisingly relatable idea of the human mind as, well, quite literally, a hard drive.
Yeah.
It frames our complex internal world in a way that deeply resonates with our pervasive digital age, yet paradoxically speaks to these timeless, universal human experiences of processing, storing, retrieving all the vast amounts of information and emotion we encounter.
And a key insight here is how explicitly this comparison is woven into the source material, almost like a recurring motif. It's initially articulated, quite unassumingly, by a bookkeeper.
A bookkeeper where?
At a seemingly innocuous place called the Inn of the Seventh Ray. And this bookkeeper states, with this direct simplicity that sort of belies its depth, you know, the mind is just a hard drive. In this life, the mind is just a hard drive.
Just lays it out there.
Just lays it out there. And this isn't just a fleeting throwaway comment. Jenkins herself picks up on this profound analogy and reiterates the phrase, applying it directly to her own emotional and cognitive state, confirming, yeah, and this is a hard drive. Yeah, this is just a hard
So
drive.
she owns it, really applies it to herself.
Absolutely. The repetition isn't merely for emphasis. It truly underscores the significance of this motif. It highlights her personal identification with its profound implications and makes it a central anchor for understanding her internal landscape. It immediately grounds the abstract concept of the mind in something tangible and relatable for the listener, drawing on our collective familiarity with digital storage, right?
Yeah, we all get that reference. And it's clear this isn't just a literal comparison to a piece of computer hardware, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, the metaphor deepens significantly.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes this truly profound framework for understanding how we, as humans, process and cope with the immense amounts of life's data.
Life's data, yeah.
Just as a computer's hard drive can become full or fragmented or just slow under heavy load.
We've all experienced that.
Exactly. The human mind can experience a remarkably similar sense of being on edge, overwhelmed, or simply struggling to function optimally. The sources meticulously detail how this can happen when we're dealing with significant trauma, be it the shock of sudden loss like Jenkins experienced, or the lingering effects of past emotional wounds, or even just chronic stress that depletes our mental resources.
And you mentioned her personal experience with the grief following the loss of David Berman, the indie folk musician.
Yes, precisely. That loss and the fact she was scheduled to tour with him seems to be a major catalyst, a huge data load, if you will, for her hard drive at that time.
Right. But it's not just huge tragedies, is it? The sources suggest it also applies to navigating the constant barrage of unexpected changes.
Yeah, the relentless daily inputs, the shifts in routines, the unpredictable turns that life throws at all of us. This metaphor provides this vivid and accessible framework for understanding our cognitive and emotional capacity when faced with such overwhelming burdens. It helps us conceptualize internal overload in a way that makes intuitive sense.
So if the mind is a hard drive that can get overloaded, what does the song suggest we do about it?
Right. Well, the song's narrative can therefore be profoundly understood as a deliberate, active process of defragmenting or maybe clearing space on this internal mental hard drive.
Defragmenting.
Yeah.
Okay, like on an old computer.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
But importantly, this isn't about the impossible task of erasing difficult experiences, of attempting to pretend they never happened. That would be denial, not healing.
Right, you can't just delete the files.
You can't. Instead, it's about actively processing and thoughtfully integrating the data these experiences represent. Think of it like sorting, categorizing, finding a place for the difficult files, rather than simply trying to delete them.
Making sense of them, perhaps.
Making sense of them, integrating them into the whole. The powerful imagery Jenkins uses throughout her work, particularly that phrase, putting your heart back together, can be seen as a metaphorical system restore, or maybe even a complex data recovery operation for this emotional hard drive.
Data recovery. That suggests some things might be corrupted or lost, but maybe recoverable.
Exactly. The ultimate aim is not to return to some pristine pre-trauma state, which is often impossible and perhaps not even desirable, but rather it's to achieve renewed functionality, internal coherence, and a sense of calm resilience, even amidst the indelible fragments of past pain.
So it's about reorganizing and making profound sense of your internal landscape to function more effectively, moving from disarray to a more integrated functional state.
Precisely. It's about optimization, maybe, in the face of accumulated data.
Here's where it truly gets interesting, for me anyway, because the metaphor seems to extend far beyond just our conscious thought and active processing.
How so?
Well, the narrative also makes mention of intrusive thoughts that come and go during a meditation. You know, those unbidden mental pop-ups that seem to emerge from nowhere.
Ah, yes, the background processes.
Exactly. And Jenkins' remarkably spontaneous songwriting approach, where she rarely begins with a rigid, preconceived concept, but rather allows the song to reveal itself. It seems like this suggests the mind's hard drive is continuously active, operating ceaselessly, often subconsciously.
Like background tasks running all the time.
Yeah, tirelessly working in the background to make sense of complex information and experiences, even when we're not actively focusing on it. It's always running, always computing, always making connections.
That makes sense. So what this means is that seemingly disparate files, maybe fragments of overheard conversations on the street, keen observations from the world around her, abstract philosophical concepts she's encountered, they're being accessed, cross-referenced, and connected in this profoundly nonlinear fashion.
Right. And this internal, often nonlinear processing forms new understandings and contributes to a more integrated, holistic self. The song itself, Hard Drive, with its interwoven vignettes, the spoken word passages, the evocative soundscapes, it almost becomes a sonic representation of this very internal processing.
A living, breathing audit of the mind at work.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jenkins's own personal experience provides a remarkably concrete, relatable example of this defragmenting process in action. She vividly details taking driving lessons at the age of 35.
Which is, relatively late to learn to drive.
It is, and she describes how these lessons, far from being just about learning to operate a vehicle, forced her to observe her anxiety externalized through the car itself.
How did that work?
Well, imagine the physical manifestation of anxiety when attempting a tricky lane change. The white knuckles on the wheel, the quickening breath, the sudden rigidity in the shoulders. The car became this tangible, immediate manifestation of her internal state, a canvas onto which her mental clutter was projected.
Wow, okay, so seeing it outside herself.
Precisely. And this externalization, paradoxically, led to a deep, hyper-focused attention and ultimately to her becoming a remarkably good and confident driver.
So the anxiety, once observed, could be managed.
It seems so. And her instructor, Daryl's sage advice, he told her to leave room for grace when changing lanes.
Leave room for grace. That's lovely.
Isn't it? It transcended the literal act of driving, evolving into a much wider life lesson. It's a powerful analogy for dealing with those intrusive, anxious thoughts, not fighting them head on, but allowing them space, giving yourself permission for imperfection and trusting that clarity will emerge.
Like giving yourself grace in your thoughts, too.
Exactly. It also applies to navigating uncertainty and for communicating effectively, even when feeling vulnerable or on edge. It's about finding peace in the moment, allowing for imperfections, and trusting the unfolding process of life both on the road and off.
So as you reflect on this, the listener, what does this deep dive into the mind as a hard drive invite you to consider in your own life? As we navigate our increasingly complex and information-saturated existence, do you ever feel your own hard drive is full?
Or fragmented.
Or fragmented, yeah. Or noticeably slowing down under the sheer volume of daily input and emotional experience. How might you intentionally approach defragmenting your mental space?
What specific practices or intentional shifts could you adopt? Maybe moments of quiet contemplation, focused creative work, or even just simple acts of mindful presence.
To process the data of your experiences for renewed functionality, coherence, and maybe a greater sense of internal peace.
It's an invitation, really, to actively consider how we organize, integrate, and ultimately optimize our internal world for healthier living.
Moving beyond that fascinating metaphor of the mind, Jenkins' profound insights also extend deeply into the healing power of nature. This seems like another major theme.
Absolutely central. She openly describes herself as a dedicated birdwatcher, a practice she began about 5 years ago, and one that has quite remarkably become incredibly central to her overall well-being and her creative process.
Just bird watching. What's the significance there?
Well, a profound element emerges here, how this seemingly simple hobby became such an unexpectedly powerful tool for Jenkins, especially given her inherent personal tendencies. She candidly describes herself as someone who tends towards hyper-vigilance.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It's a state characterized by a heightened, almost obsessive awareness of potential threats or dangers. It often aggravates the fight-or-flight response, keeping one constantly on edge, physically and mentally exhausted.
Right, scanning the environment constantly.
Exactly. Yet, she discovered birdwatching to be incredibly healing, precisely because it gives that innate, often disruptive tendency a constructive task and a beautiful external focus.
Ah, so channels the hypervigilance.
Precisely. Instead of her hypervigilance feeding a cycle of anxiety and internal rumination, it now serves a calming, grounding purpose. It directs her acute attention outwards toward the intricate details of the natural world, the subtle movements, the colors, the sounds of birds, rather than inwards towards her own anxieties.
It's a powerful reframing then, turning a perceived curse into a tool for peace and focused observation.
Beautifully put.
And this wasn't just a casual pastime for her, was it? It sounds like it became much more significant.
Oh, absolutely. It evolved into a crucial sanctuary, particularly during a period of immense global anxiety. Jenkins found profound peace and refuge in the Ramble.
Go ramble. What's that?
It's a specific, wilder section of Central Park in New York, and she found refuge there during the intensely uncertain early days of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right, when New York was the epicenter. That must have been incredibly stressful.
Immense. The city was shrouded in this pervasive sense of fear, isolation, unprecedented uncertainty. She vividly recounts waking up with the pre-dawn light incredibly early, sometimes around 4 a.m., and walking for hours through an eerily quiet park with hardly any people around.
It's just empty.
Empty. She describes this almost surreal experience as feeling like nature was taking over and human existence was really quieting. This palpable lack of human presence, while stemming from tragic circumstances, paradoxically offered her a unique, albeit eerie, sense of calm and a deep connection to the enduring rhythm of the earth.
Wow. Finding quiet in the middle of chaos.
And her profound engagement with nature extended far beyond just quiet walks. She consciously sought peace by directing her keen gaze towards the birds and the vibrant, persistent emergence of spring in the park, a symbol of renewal amidst global stasis.
Focusing on life.
Focusing on life. Later, when she was upstate New York, her focus shifted, becoming even more granular. She started observing insects, meticulously recording their shifting sonic landscapes.
Recording insect sound.
Yeah, this detailed, almost microscopic observation of biodiversity, paying attention to even microseasons and microclimates, things influenced by what specific flowers are in bloom or the subtle changes in moisture in the air, proved to be incredibly grounding and centering for her.
Micro-seasons. I'd never thought of that.
Yeah, me neither, but it makes sense. She notes that this immersive sensory experience puts her completely at ease, saying it's hitting all my senses whether I'm thinking about it or not. It's a complete immersion that transcends conscious effort, providing this deep, intuitive sense of connection and presence within the larger tapestry of life. It effectively calms her hyper-vigilant mind by giving it a bountiful, beautiful task.
That's remarkable how she found such specific solace. And this connection to nature, as our sources reveal, it isn't unique to Jenkins, is it? It feels like a profound, recurring theme woven throughout human experience and art.
Absolutely. It echoes everywhere once you start looking. We see it in other significant works. Richard Powers' Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, The Overstory, for example.
Fantastic book.
Isn't it? It doesn't just describe trees. It explores the deep, almost spiritual connection between humans and the arboreal world. It delves into the intricate, unseen networks of the forest and how they mirror human relationships, even communication.
Right, the Wood Wide Web idea.
Exactly. Then there's Eric Ryan Grant's incredibly vivid description of his experience at Joshua Tree National Park. He didn't just see a desert. He portrayed it as a twisted, burnt-up dreamland.
Wow.
He powerfully describes the unique Joshua trees and cholla cacti as producing a million green sparks praying to some celestial being. It emphasizes this peculiar yet undeniably beautiful sense of natural awe and profound spiritual connection in a stark, otherworldly landscape.
So these diverse narratives, from Jenkins' birdwatching to grand novels and desert epiphanies, they all underscore this universal human yearning for and offer a profound healing through a deeper connection with the natural world.
Precisely, which prompts a vital question for us, doesn't it? In our increasingly urbanized and digitally connected lives, how can we consciously and consistently cultivate these moments of profound connection with nature?
Feels harder sometimes.
It can, but Jenkins's experience powerfully suggests that it doesn't always necessitate an epic journey to a national park or even hours spent in a vast wilderness. Even small, intentional acts of observation, like pausing to truly watch a bird at your window, noticing the changing patterns of light and shadow on a wall, listening to the subtle sounds of wind through trees or insects buzzing right in your immediate surroundings. These can have a profound and cumulative impact.
Just noticing more.
Just noticing more. These brief yet focused moments can serve to ground us, diminish the insistent demands of ego, and provide a much-needed sanctuary from external chaos. They allow our often overwhelmed and hyper-vigilant minds to find a healthy, beautiful, and restorative task.
It's about cultivating mindfulness in the natural world, then no matter how small that world might seem around you.
Exactly. Finding the phenomenal nature right where you are.
Shifting from the sanctuary found in nature, the album is also deeply and it seems inextricably intertwined with Jenkins's intense personal experience of grief.
Yes, that's undeniable.
Specifically, the profound and unexpected passing of indie folk pioneer David Berman, with whom she was scheduled to tour just before he died. This deeply personal tragedy became a central emotional current, weaving its way through the very fabric of her remarkable work.
And zooming out, the broader significance here is how her personal grief becomes a vehicle for exploring universal themes of loss and remembrance. Her song Ambiguous Norway explicitly and bravely wrestles with Berman's passing.
Ambiguous Norway. Why that title?
Well, it recounts her emotional and physical trip to Norway for his funeral, a journey that was both literal and intensely internal. And what's truly striking is how she masterfully juxtaposes the mundane, almost trivial details.
Like what?
Like the agonizing decision of picking out appropriate clothes for a funeral, that small act of normalcy against a backdrop of immense surreal grief. She contrasts that with the overwhelming and disorienting nature of grief itself.
That feeling of everything being unreal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She describes how, in this heightened state of mourning, clouds become mountain ranges. An incredibly evocative line.
Wow.
Not only does it capture the distorted perception grief can bring, but it also powerfully calls to mind Berman's own iconic artistic project, Purple Mountains.
Ah, Purple Mountains.
Right. Suggesting that even in absence, his influence shapes her landscape, her perception. This blending of the ordinary with the surreal perfectly encapsulates the disorienting, yet strangely beautiful experience of profound loss.
And what's truly compelling is how the song reaches this surprisingly poignant, almost transcendent conclusion. It's not just bleakness.
No, not at all. It describes Jenkins laughing to herself as she wanders the streets alone, feeling Burmish presence everywhere, and feeling as though the universe itself might be in on the joke.
The universe might be in on the joke. What does that mean?
It's open to interpretation, of course, but that powerful phrase she uses, "you're gone, you're everywhere," it encapsulates this profound sense of omnipresence. The lost loved one isn't simply absent, but subtly, indelibly woven into the very fabric of daily life, into the subtle nuances of perception.
So not absence, but a different kind of presence.
Exactly. It's a surprising lightness amidst the deep, raw pain of loss. It suggests that grief doesn't necessarily mean perpetual sorrow, but can coexist with an almost cosmic sense of connection, finding unexpected humor or comfort in the echoes of a loved one. The joke isn't malicious, perhaps, but maybe the universe's surprising way of affirming continued connection even after death.
That's a very philosophical take on grief.
It resonates deeply with Gabriel Marcel's philosophy of phenomenology, actually. Marcel, a French philosopher, firmly believed that reality itself isn't static or objective, but actively desires relationship and mutual unfolding.
Yeah.
He believed that our fidelity to bonds, whether with friends, family, work, even art, creates this lasting, almost ontological connection, something that reverberates throughout our being, even long after these relationships might dissipate from physical presence.
So they don't just vanish.
They don't simply vanish into nothingness, according to Marcel. They remain held by the promise made in love, a promise that reality answers in kind. For Marcel, this idea of fidelity means more than mere remembrance. It means actively carrying forward the essence of the relationship, allowing it to continue shaping one's existence.
Wow.
Jenkins' experience with Berman, feeling his presence everywhere and seeing the universe in on the joke, echoes this idea perfectly. It shows how deep, loving connections transcend physical absence, transforming loss into a profound, enduring omnipresence that continues to shape and enrich one's reality.
That's incredibly deep. And the song Hard Drive, it seems to pick up this healing thread too.
It does. It further extends this healing message, transforming a deeply personal experience of grief into a profoundly universal invitation for solace and self-regulation.
How so? Because it's not just about Berman.
Exactly. While it specifically addresses her grief for David Berman, its powerful, almost meditative mantra, 1, 2, 3, just breathe, count with me, offers a truly universal invitation to anyone feeling fraught, frightened, pained, uncontained.
That simple counting and breathing.
That simple act, the delivery, is imbued with this warmth, a steady rhythm, and a quiet wisdom that transcends the specific circumstances of her loss. It creates this profound moment of shared vulnerability and strength for the listener.
It's like she's reaching out.
It is, as if she's reaching out across the sonic landscape, quietly saying, look, if I can begin to put my heart back together, even after such profound loss, you too can find your way. I've got you, and we're in this process of healing together. It's incredibly comforting.
Wow. And the album ends with the track also called The Ramble.
Yes, the final track, also titled The Ramble, masterfully ties all these intricate themes together, bringing us full circle back to Jenkins' sanctuary in Central Park. But it does so in a very unique way.
How?
Well, it does it without a single distinguishable word. It presents this harmonious cacophony, a beautiful phrase, of musical instruments, muffled voices, the sporadic chirping of birds.
So pure soundscape.
Pure soundscape. This track isn't designed to offer neat solutions or simple saccharine answers to the crushing weight of loss or the pervasive presence of love. Instead, it intentionally holds space open.
Hold space open.
It immerses the listener in this rich, complex, sonic environment. You hear the subtle plucking of strings, the distant murmur of human activity, the piercing yet soothing calls of various birds. It's an invitation for the listener to simply be with the raw, often paradoxical admixture of pain and beauty.
Pain and beauty together.
Yes, amidst the ethereality of children's laughter and birdsong, which you can also hear faintly in the mix. The presence of children's laughter, a symbol of innocence, life, hope layered over the more somber sounds, deepens the paradox. It acknowledges the ongoing, often contradictory nature of existence.
Where joy and sorrow coexist.
Exactly. Where presence and absence, the mundane and the profound, are inextricably interwoven into a continuous, flowing, and deeply resonant landscape. This open-ended approach invites deeper, personal reflection rather than prescriptive closure, allowing each listener to find their own meaning within the beautiful complexity.
That's a powerful way to end the album, leaving so much space for reflection. And this points to a larger truth, doesn't it? About how processing personal grief becomes a shared human experience.
Absolutely.
Like the heart-wrenching experience of Bobby McIlvaine's family after 9/11, a story Jennifer Sr. documented so masterfully. That kind of deep dive into personal loss resonates universally.
It does. The deep, intimate personal connection woven into such narratives, whether delivered through deeply felt art like Jenkins' music or through meticulous, empathetic journalism, profoundly strengthens the story and fosters universal empathy. It transforms what might, on the surface, seem like private, isolated tragedies into universally relatable human journeys.
Reminding us of our shared vulnerability.
Our shared vulnerability, our shared capacity for immense suffering, and also our profound, often surprising resilience in the face of immense loss. It helps us find common ground in the most difficult of human experiences.
Okay, now shifting our focus a bit, let's turn our attention to the creative process itself. How does an artist like Cassandra Jenkins actually craft these deeply resonant songs? Songs that feel both intensely personal and yet somehow universally relatable to a vast audience.
It's a fascinating question.
She describes her writing process not like painting on a blank canvas, where you might apply layers to an already preconceived image, but rather as a slow, deliberate, iterative process, more akin to working with clay.
Yeah, that clay analogy is really insightful. A key insight here is the tactile, iterative, and incredibly organic nature of her approach. She describes starting with a slab of raw material, maybe a collection of fragmented words, a simple melodic phrase, a nascent sonic idea.
Just raw stuff.
Just raw stuff. And then slowly, painstakingly, whittling it down, constantly editing, refining, changing its shape multiple times. She's not imposing a rigid, predefined structure from the outset.
So she doesn't know exactly where it's going when she starts.
Apparently not always. Instead, she's always looking for cues for what something wants to be, rarely beginning with a fixed, finished concept in mind. This fundamentally challenges the common, often romanticized idea of a songwriter just executing a perfectly preconceived idea that popped into their head fully formed.
Right, the lightning bolt of inspiration myth.
Exactly. For Jenkins, the moment it becomes execution, she says, it loses its spark for me. This is a crucial distinction. It highlights an intuitive, deeply responsive engagement with the evolving art piece itself, an almost conversational dance with the material.
A dance with the material.
Allowing the song to reveal its own form and purpose rather than being forced into a mold she decided on beforehand.
That intuitive, almost responsive approach is particularly evident in the creation of Hard Drive, isn't it? Which, as we discussed, stands out for its unique spoken word delivery.
Very much so. Jenkins explains that her initial focus for that song wasn't on melody at all, which is so counter to traditional songwriting. Instead, she was looking for a very specific pulse to the lyrics.
A pulse, like rhythm.
Yeah, meticulously working out how the phrasing and rhythm of her spoken words could fit organically into a chord structure she was developing. She actually tried to add a traditional sung melody to it, experimenting with various vocal lines and harmonies.
So she tried the conventional way first.
She did, but she found that it felt very forced, almost like she was trying to overlay something artificial onto the natural flow of the words. This internal resistance, this feeling of it being wrong, led her to trust her artistic intuition.
And just let it be spoken.
And just let it be spoken. Allowing the song to arrive naturally as spoken word, a very different approach, she admits, from her past tendencies toward perfectionism and maybe more conventional song structures. It speaks volumes about her artistic maturity and willingness to let the song dictate its own form, rather than forcing it into a preconceived conventional mold.
That willingness to let go of expectations seems absolutely key.
It really does, because Jenkins openly discusses perfectionism as both a terrific asset and, crucially, a real curse and a source of so much anxiety.
A double-edged sword.
Exactly. As an asset, it can drive meticulous attention to detail and high quality. But as a curse, it can lead to creative paralysis, endless self-doubt, the inability to finish or even start projects.
Many creatives can relate to that, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Her journey, especially with Hard Drive, vividly illustrates this internal battle. By choosing to let go of a fixed idea, the expectation of a traditional melody, and instead trusting the song's natural inclination to be spoken, she embraced a more organic, authentic, creative flow.
Listening to the song itself.
Listening deeply to the song's inherent needs, rather than imposing her preconceived notions or what she thought it should be. This allowed for the unique and impactful spoken word delivery that ultimately defines the track. It's a testament not just to her talent, but maybe to the transformative power of artistic surrender and self-trust. Overcoming the anxieties of perfectionism to truly let the art manifest as it desires.
So as you, the listener, contemplate this, what does this deep dive into Jenkins's creative process invite you to consider? Whether you're a creative trying to overcome a block, maybe a problem solver navigating complex challenges in your professional life, or simply someone trying to make sense of the myriad demands of daily living.
Jenkins's process suggests as a profoundly valuable lesson, doesn't it? It's about letting go of rigid expectations and instead allowing processes, be they artistic, professional, or personal, to unfold organically.
Being open to where the material, the problem, or even life itself wants to lead you, rather than relentlessly forcing a predetermined outcome.
Exactly. It's a philosophy of creative flexibility and intuitive responsiveness that can be applied to almost any endeavor. It can foster innovation and reduce unnecessary anxiety by embracing the unfolding journey, rather than fixating on a rigid destination. Trusting the process, as they say.
Trusting the process. Okay, beyond the intimate details of her creative method, Jenkins' interviews also offer this stark, unvarnished look at the reality of being a working musician in 2025.
Yeah, this part is quite revealing.
It paints a picture that often diverges sharply and profoundly from common public perception. It's a powerful counter-narrative to that idealized image of artists just effortlessly floating in some ethereal creative ether, untouched by mundane concerns.
It really is. And it raises an important question that challenges many of our preconceptions. How do artists truly balance the intense emotional output of their deeply personal creative work with the practical, often exceedingly difficult financial realities of making a sustainable living?
The starting artist trope isn't just a trope, then.
Well, Jenkins highlights a significant, often painful disconnect between the optics of being an artist, where one might be perceived as simply floating in a bohemian indie space, seemingly free from the constraints of everyday life, and the gritty, demanding everyday reality.
What's the reality she describes?
She explicitly states that the truth, for many, including herself, involves having other jobs, often less glamorous and demanding, simply to afford basic necessities like regular therapy for mental health and crucial healthcare coverage.
Things many people take for granted with a regular job.
Precisely. Things that a career solely in music rarely provides consistently or adequately in the modern landscape. It's a candid and sobering look at the pervasive economic pressures and the sheer grind faced by artists in the contemporary music industry. It really dispels romantic notions with pragmatic realities.
And beyond the sheer financial realities, she meticulously details the immense physical and emotional toll that touring exacts.
Oh yeah, the touring life.
She describes it as quite grueling, emphasizing that this isn't merely a personal feeling but a pervasive reality, especially for someone leading a band. It's not just about getting on stage for an hour or two and performing.
Right, the part everyone sees.
Exactly. It's about managing what she candidly refers to as a small business on the road.
Wow, a small business.
This incredibly demanding role includes navigating complex logistics, managing temperaments, ensuring that everyone in the band is financially and emotionally satisfied. A constant tightrope walk of balancing budgets, travel plans, personal needs, collective morale.
That sounds exhausting just thinking about it.
And this immense pressure which involves constant people management, logistical wrangling, problem solving, can often lead to the profound neglect of one's own personal feelings and well-being. She admits with a sense of resignation that my own feelings will be last on the list.
Oof. That's a heavy burden. Profound personal sacrifice that many artists are forced to make for the sake of the collective venture and their shared creative endeavor.
And compounding these already considerable difficulties are the pervasive, often unspoken challenges embedded within the music industry environment itself.
Like what?
Jenkins notes that it's frequently full of alcohol, with a deeply entrenched expectation that singer-songwriters, particularly those in the indie scene, like to party as part of their creative persona or lifestyle.
Ah, the rock and roll lifestyle myth again.
Right. This can create a particularly difficult and often isolating situation for those who are struggling with personal issues, maybe are in recovery, or who simply do not conform to that expectation and prefer a healthier, more sober lifestyle.
That makes sense. It could feel very alienating.
However, despite these formidable pressures and the often isolating nature of the road, she finds crucial connection and profound support with other female singer-songwriters in the industry.
That's good to hear. A support system.
Yeah, she names artists like Adrienne Lenker, Lucy Dacus, Phoebe Bridgers, Julian Baker, a network of tears with whom she can be real about this, sharing honest truths about the struggles, the joys, the sheer exhaustion of their demanding careers.
That must be invaluable. Creating a vital space for authentic dialogue, mutual understanding, solidarity in an otherwise demanding and often disorienting environment. A true lifeline amidst the chaos.
Definitely. And despite these intense pressures and the demanding realities of the industry, Jenkins maintains this very clear, evolving, and deeply resilient artistic philosophy.
How would you describe that philosophy?
She views records not as definitive, immutable statements, but rather as a record of a moment in time, allowing them the freedom to be true to that specific period in her life, reflecting her growth and changes, rather than striving for some unattainable, timeless perfection.
That takes the pressure off, maybe.
I think so. It frees her from the burden of needing to create the masterpiece with every release. She also expresses a keen and genuine interest in collaborative work and playing in bands, recognizing that being around other people, exchanging ideas, sharing the creative load, often genuinely excites her about writing her own songs. It acts as a direct catalyst for her individual creativity.
So collaboration feeds her solo work.
It seems so. And she cites this diverse pantheon of idols who masterfully blend performance with music, people like Yoko Ono, Laurie Anderson, Miranda July, Chris Burton, John Cage.
That's a really eclectic list. Performance art, conceptual art.
Exactly. It indicates a profound desire to do something slightly different from traditional music backgrounds, pushing boundaries and exploring new expressive forms, even while acknowledging her own traditional roots in songwriting and acoustic performance.
So if we place this in a wider context, Jenkins' insights powerfully highlight the immense resilience, fortitude, and often a sheer personal sacrifice required to pursue creative passions, especially within an industry that can be simultaneously creatively fulfilling and profoundly personally draining.
It really does.
It also extends an invitation to us, the listeners, to critically question the often idealized images of artistic careers that are presented by the media.
To look beyond the surface.
Exactly. To look beyond the curated optics, the glamorous album covers, the sold-out shows, the seemingly effortless artistic output, and to recognize the complex human effort, the often unseen financial struggles, the demanding logistics, the profound personal sacrifice that frequently lie behind every finished piece of art we consume and enjoy.
It fosters a much deeper, more empathetic appreciation, doesn't it? For the artists who navigate these turbulent waters with such remarkable honesty and unwavering dedication.
I think it has to.
Okay, now, let's pivot slightly. We're moving from the intensely personal creative journeys of an artist to a broader societal observation. Our sources bring forth a truly fascinating discussion that directly challenges a common and often compelling argument.
Which argument is that?
The powerful idea that consumerism is, in essence, a modern religion, or at least functions as one for many in contemporary society.
Yes. The shopping mall is the new cathedral idea.
Exactly that kind of thinking. This points to a larger truth about human desire and how it seeks fulfillment, doesn't it? The question is, can shopping truly be considered a form of spiritual practice? An alternative path to ultimate meaning, providing solace and purpose in a secular age?
It's a provocative question.
The argument, often advanced by theologians, cultural critics, sociologists of religion, posits consumerism as an ersatz religion. That's a German term meaning substitute or replacement, So it serves as a powerful and pervasive competitor to traditional religious institutions like the church.
Right, and proponents of this view identify numerous parallels, don't they?
They do. They suggest consumerism offers its own distinct rituals, like the communal frenzy of Black Friday sales, or the highly personalized pilgrimages to flagship stores, or even the almost sacramental act of unboxing a new purchase.
The unboxing videos.
Exactly. They identify sacred spaces not as cathedrals, but as meticulously designed shopping malls or online marketplaces that separate the mundane from the extraordinary, offering a transcendent, almost utopian experience to its devotees. Mircea Eliade, a prominent historian of religion, is even cited as theorizing that the shopping mall itself can be seen as a sacred space symbolically separating the divine from the profane.
Offering a sense of transcendence to its devotees.
They argue consumerism provides a form of worship through brand loyalty and the pursuit of material goods, and promises of salvation through acquisition, promising happiness or fulfillment through endless consumption.
The core of this theological critique, as presented in our sources, is quite compelling on its face, isn't it? The idea that people shop because we long for value, for a virtuous ideal of value that we no longer get from religion, work, or politics.
It suggests that in a modern, often secularized, increasingly individualistic world, consumerism steps in to fill a perceived spiritual void, offering a sense of purpose, a distorted form of community, through shared brand loyalties for shopping experiences, even a kind of ritual that was once exclusively provided by traditional religious institutions.
It certainly sounds like a powerful and intuitive explanation for our pervasive societal habits and the allure of endless acquisition. It feels right somehow.
It does feel right. However, the article we're exploring, drawing heavily on the incisive work of scholar William Cavanaugh, challenges this very premise.
Okay, so what's the counter-argument?
It argues that while consumerism is undeniably concerned with human desire and is deeply embedded in our lives, it fundamentally does not direct that desire toward anything ultimate. This is a crucial distinction in theological and philosophical terms.
Anything ultimate, meaning?
Meaning a final purpose, a transcendent goal. Cavanaugh contends that consumerism fundamentally trivializes all attempts to love. Trivializes love.
What he means is that by endlessly diverting human longing towards transient material goods and fleeting experiences, consumerism prevents the development of deeper, more enduring loves for God, for community, for true justice, or for genuine self-transcendence. For a practice or system to genuinely be considered a religion, it must facilitate the pursuit of a telos, T-E-L-O-S. It's a Greek philosophical term for an ultimate purpose, a final end or a highest good, a concept of flourishing that is truly transcendent and enduring. Consumerism, in this view, fails this fundamental prerequisite because its telos is merely more consumption, an endless, unfulfilling cycle that ultimately undermines deeper, more meaningful forms of fulfillment and connection.
So it keeps us busy, but doesn't lead anywhere truly meaningful.
That's the argument. It scratches an itch, but never provides deep satisfaction or points towards a transcendent reality.
And the implications of this trivialization extend far beyond just spiritual emptiness, right?
Oh, absolutely. The sources meticulously highlight several tangible downsides of excessive, unbridled consumption, detailing its pervasive and often detrimental effects on both individuals and broader society.
Such as?
These include a disproportionate emphasis on fleeting pleasure, leading to a relentless pursuit of new experiences that often leaves individuals on that hedonic treadmill.
The hedonic treadmill. Always needing the next hit to feel okay.
Exactly. Constantly needing more to feel satisfied, and tragically contributing to increased national and personal debt that burdens individuals, families, entire economies. There's also the often hidden ethical cost of poor working conditions in the global manufacturing supply chains that produce our consumer goods.
Exploiting labor for cheap products.
Exploiting labor for the sake of cheap products and maximum profit. And of course, the undeniable and ever-growing strain on the environment, as relentless consumption depletes finite natural resources, generates vast amounts of waste, and exacerbates the climate crisis.
Okay, so quite a list of negative consequences.
Indeed. So what does this insight invite you, the listener, to consider? It's a provocative thought. If consumerism doesn't genuinely offer ultimate meaning or a true telos, how then do we find authentic fulfillment in our daily choices and pursuits?
Where do we look instead?
Exactly. It prompts us to critically consider how consumerist logic might subtly creep into other seemingly unrelated aspects of our lives, even those we consider spiritual, communal, or deeply meaningful, and perhaps, in doing so, diminish their true inherent value. Are we treating relationships or even spirituality like commodities?
That's a challenging question.
Right.
Okay, finally, let's zoom out to the broader context of how we collectively consume information and entertainment in 2025.
The media landscape, always shifting.
What's crystal clear from the comprehensive data in our sources is that we're not necessarily witnessing widespread media fatigue, as some might assume is a natural outcome of constant digital bombardment.
Right, it's not just burnout.
Rather, what we're observing is a significant and fascinating shift towards what's termed media focus, meaning people are being far more intentional, deliberate, and discerning with their choices about what content they consume and, crucially, where they choose to consume it.
And what really struck me here is how precisely the data reflect this emerging intentionality. Weekly social media reach climbed to an impressive 82% in 2025, a noticeable and steady increase from 78% in 2024.
So usage is up, but it's more focused.
It seems so. The most significant growth in engagement is consistently observed among younger demographics, specifically the 18-34 age group, whose weekly engagement hit a striking 93%. This indicates that while social media remains undeniably pervasive, users, especially younger ones, are becoming more discerning about which platforms they engage with for specific needs, rather than just passively scrolling everywhere.
Different platforms for different things.
Exactly. For instance, Facebook remains remarkably dominant overall, with 77% total weekly use, even showing higher usage among older demographics, 81% for 35-54, 84% for 55+, solidifying its role as a broad connective tissue, maybe for family and broader networks.
Still the giant.
Still the giant. But in stark contrast, Instagram, with 70% weekly reach, and TikTok at 68%, clearly lead for the 18-34 age group, indicating their dominance for visual and short-form video content, respectively.
Right, the preferred spaces for younger users.
And there are also clear gender differences, with Facebook, for example, showing 85% use for women versus 70% for men, suggesting different social engagement patterns and content preferences. This fragmentation highlights that no single platform serves all needs, leading to more focused user journeys. People are curating their feeds and platforms more actively.
And this intriguing shift in intentionality extends across other media formats as well, doesn't it? It's not just social media.
No, it's broader. Podcasts, for instance, like this deep dive, while still offering that beloved intimate connection and unparalleled niche access that listeners value so highly.
Which we hope you value.
Indeed. They are no longer experiencing the kind of rapid expansion described as hyper-growth mode. The data indicates a subtle but significant pullback in weekly listening.
Meaning fewer people listening weekly or listening to fewer shows.
It suggests audiences are becoming more selective with their audio choices, prioritizing quality and relevance over sheer volume or novelty, maybe listening deeply to fewer shows rather than sampling broadly.
Okay, quality over quantity.
Possibly. Adding to this evolving landscape, the very line between traditional audio-only podcasts and video content on platforms like YouTube and TikTok is increasingly blurrier as more and more content creators blend these formats.
The rise of the video podcast.
Exactly. This offers audiences more dynamic ways to engage with spoken word material, often visually enriched, reflecting a demand for versatile and engaging content that transcends traditional format boundaries. It's no longer just about listening, it's about a more holistic, curated media experience for many.
And what about good old-fashioned radio? Is it disappearing?
Surprisingly, no. Despite all these rapid digital shifts and the emergence of new platforms, traditional radio's reach remains remarkably stable, which is quite intriguing and speaks to its enduring appeal.
Really? Stable?
Remarkably stable, particularly among the 35-54 and 55+ audiences. This demonstrates its resilience and continued relevance for specific segments of the population. Music continues to be its dominant use, accounting for a staggering 88% of listening.
Still mostly for music.
Mostly music, followed by news talk at 36% and sports at 20%. It shows that while new digital platforms certainly emerge and capture significant attention, established media forms still hold significant ground for specific purposes like background listening during commutes or for reliable local news and sports updates. And for specific demographics, it fills certain niches very well.
And what about esports? Is that becoming mainstream?
It's still relatively niche, but growing. Esports or competitive gaming remains a niche interest with 10% total engagement overall, but it shows significantly stronger interest among men, 14%, and younger demographics, 15%.
So a dedicated audience.
A highly engaged, dedicated audience. This represents a sweet spot for advertisers targeting young, tech-savvy men. Gamers aren't just passively playing, they're actively spectating, analyzing, engaging with these events, reinforcing the social and communal aspects of the digital landscape. It's a testament to how specialized interests can cultivate incredibly fervent and dedicated communities online.
So as you, the learner, actively navigate this complex and ever-evolving media landscape, what does this deep dive invite you to consider?
It powerfully reinforces the critical importance of intentionality, I think. That conscious act of choosing platforms and content that truly fit your life, your interests, your learning goals.
Rather than feeling overwhelmed by a constant, indiscriminate flood of information.
Exactly. It's about actively curating your own information diet, being a discerning consumer of content rather than a passive recipient, ensuring that what you consume genuinely serves your personal growth and well-being.
It's taking control back, in a way.
Taking control. Which raises an important final question for all of us. In an era where media consumption is becoming simultaneously more focused and highly fragmented, how do we ensure we're still actively seeking out and getting diverse perspectives and truly meaningful insights?
How do we avoid the echo chambers?
Precisely. How do we avoid simply reinforcing existing biases or getting trapped in echo chambers? How do we instead actively choose content that broadens our understanding and challenges our assumptions, rather than just passively seeking out trivial entertainment or reaffirming what we already believe?
It's about conscious curation for intellectual growth, not just passive consumption.
That's a great way to put it.
So what does this all mean for you and for us as we synthesize these remarkable insights? From the intimate personal revelations and unique artistic journey of Cassandra Jenkins, and that profound, universally applicable metaphor of the mind as a hard drive.
To the deeply healing power of nature in an anxious world, and the shifting, fragmented currents of our contemporary media landscape.
We've explored how intensely personal experiences and universal philosophical concepts intertwine to offer a deeply resonant overview on phenomenal nature. It's been a journey about finding profound meaning in the everyday, unexpected connections in surprising places, and resilience within the beautiful chaos of existence.
In placing this in a wider context, it's fundamentally about the enduring human quest for understanding, isn't it? For profound healing and for genuine connection in a world that can often feel chaotic, overwhelming, and isolating.
Yep.
It powerfully shows how art, specifically Jenkins' thoughtful, deeply personal, and universally resonant work, can distill incredibly complex truths and experiences, offering both comfort and provocation in equal measure.
It's a testament to the transformative power of observation, introspection, and courageous artistic expression in making sense of our shared human condition.
Absolutely.
So this deep dive leaves us with a compelling thought for you, the listener, to continue to mull over. How can you consciously cultivate your own unique overview on phenomenal nature in your daily life?
Your personal overview.
How can you become more attuned to finding connection and deeper meaning in unexpected places and casual conversations, like Jenkins did with the security guard?
Right. And how might you actively defragment your own internal hard drive? By intentionally processing life's vast and varied experiences, and by actively seeking out moments of sanctuary, peace, and restorative presence in your own world. Finding your own ramble, perhaps.
Finding your own ramble. I like that.
And as Cassandra Jenkins herself so wisely suggests through her journey, consider how truly embracing a philosophy of flexibility, that willingness to adapt and flow with life's currents, and keeping your eyes really open to endless possibilities, can profoundly transform your approach.
To both the inevitable challenges and the abundant opportunities that life consistently presents. Being open, being flexible, being present.
Exactly. It seems to be the core message running through it all.